All right, if you like eating and breathing, listen up. We're continuing the conversation on the biological basis of behavior. Today, we're going to be discussing the brain stem, and the brain stem is known as the core of the brain and deals with basic survival functions. So let's go ahead and take a look at the main points of today. Anything that deals with breathing, digestion, heartbeat, control, and temperature, that is the brain stem. So we'll be looking at the neuroanatomy, fancy way, once again, of saying brain structure and shapes, the functions of the brainstem, and the sensory pathways involved. So let's break this thing down like a fraction and put it back together, beginning with the neuroanatomy. The neuroanatomy, as you can see, is three layers that I want to talk about. The midbrain is more at the top. It's the green part of the structure. It's surrounded by both hemispheres, segmented between the forebrain, which is the cortex, in the upper part of the brain, and then the hindbrain, which is made up of the next parts we'll be talking about, the pons and the medulla. So the pons is a red portion of the picture. It's also known as the bridge, and it is between the midbrain and the medulla, and it's mostly comprised of motor fibers that deals with movement that connects with the cerebellum to the spinal cord. Last but not least is the medulla, the purple part. If you remember the water boy, this is what the professor was saying, the medulla oblongata. This is that part, and it is actually next to the spinal cord. It is what connects the brain to the spinal cord. Let's go and talk about the functions. And real quick, we got to give a shout out to EB Illustrates. He's a first-year medical student in Ukraine. He's Nigerian, blowing up the internet now. He creates contemporary medical illustrations and promotes the underrepresentation of Afro skin medical illustrations. So follow him on the social media platforms and support his work. And it'll help us describe some of the functions. You can see the functions of the brainstem are automatic functions. So when you think about breathing, digestion, heartbeat, just understand that these things aren't necessarily voluntary. Like, they just happen on their own, so you don't have to really worry about them. The brainstem controls that. It also controls the body's homeostasis, a fancy way of saying remaining balanced. Think about a thermostat in your house. You set it on a certain temperature. Depending on the heat on the inside and outside, it wants to remain balanced. So it does that temperature regulation, deals with blood pressure, and the reticular formation part of it as well deals with alertness, consciousness, and pain, as well as deals with the respiratory and cardiovascular blood type systems. All right, last but not least is the pathways. Just understand just how the signals travel in the central nervous system. Two-way street. There's the dorsal region, which is in the blue, and the sending regions, which is in the red. Just understand that we can look at the spinal cord as a road, and sensory informations are the cars moving on this road. So when we say ascending, the dorsal region has more of the ascending direction, and this deals with sensory or touch. And then the descending is the anterior regions, which is the red areas, and that's descending. So what we're saying is sensory sensations, signals go from the body upwards to the brain to be processed and felt. And then when we're saying descending, we're saying that messages are going from the brain to the body, such as motor, to make movements. All right. So let's put this back together all the way, and we can understand when we're talking about the brainstem, we're talking about neuroanatomy wise, it consists of the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla oblongata in the descending order. The function of the brainstem is for basic survival, breathing, heartbeat, digestion, temperature, homeostasis, all that automatic stuff. And then your pathways, these are signals that the central nervous system travels. It travels in an ascending, going upward, or descending downward. Ascending information is sensory, and descending information is for movement and motor. All right, here goes our references, the EPPP, One Step, as well as the neurobiology for humans. Thanks for listening. You can follow me at Skelton Neuro _ Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Subscribe to the Skelton Report, and check out the Udemy e-courses I've created for depression, as well as motivation and making things happen and setting goals. That's all I got. I'll check you out on the next go around. Peace.